Parashat Bereshit, the end. So the end of the parasha seems a bit boring, but I'd rather not disregard it. What it tells after the whole story of Cain and Abel, it says that Adam and Eve continued having children and humanity started spreading. Now, Adam lived 930 years. So it's one way of looking at it is like thinking maybe this is just like an exaggeration or something. It comes to tell us something, but I would actually like to present the opinion that to take it literally, if it says that he lived 930 years, he lived 930 years. I mean, if you take a broad look at history, then just a few years ago, I mean, let's say when my grandfather, my grandfather's time, people lived till around 50 years old. And that's achievable to understand. I mean, that's not so long ago. I know my grandfather. I mean, he passed away a few years ago, but I know this person. I know my grandfather, someone I believe that he experienced a life in which reaching the age of 50 was considered, wow, an achievement. Till today in Africa, the average is like less than 40. It's so if we know people and we can understand how and see how life, like the lifespan has doubled, even tripled till today. And today, scientists even say that the person who will live till 200 has already been born. Because of science and medicine and everything, they say that already among us live people who will reach 200 years old. So that means we see in our lifetime again how not only we doubled and tripled, we even fourth times the lifespan of humanity, of a man or woman, has you know has been double, four times more than what it is today. So then if we can see that and understand and see it in our own eyes, then why not believe that at the beginning of time, when there was less people ate things that were more healthy, I guess there was less cancer and all these new things in the world, bad things also, people lived naturally. And if Adam was created straight directly from God, why, and it says he lived 930 years, why not believe, take it literally, he indeed lived 930 years. People lived many years in health. So the whole concept of ages and people was so different. Now what it says is that people started becoming really corrupt. And God was sorry about that in a way, because we have the freedom of choice. And again, I guess they chose to do bad, which was upsetting. So two things about that. What are these two things, you may ask? So one thing is that there's so many names. I mean, so many people were born that you can't write all their names. But if we want to trace down humanity to its sources, so where do we start? And it says, it's interesting that only a few names are singled out. It says, let's say, it says that Adam and Eve had many children. They had Cain and Abel, and they had Shet, or Seth in English. And then it says, and they had many more girls and boys. Why? How does the narrative choose? There is a theme, there is an order in this thing, because you see that eventually, if you trace the names, it's always from this. They all belong to the same branch. I mean, somebody has one child and then many more children, but from that child there is another one child and many more children, and it's always that child that is singled out is someone special, is someone that, in a way, was a tzaddik, was a righteous person, and continued to hold the torch of the first man, of Adam. So if Adam knew par excellence that Hashem existed, I mean, he was created by God, by Hashem, and there was no question about it. He talked to him. It was the most obvious thing. And then after a while, maybe some of his children continued and had that connection with God, and some didn't. The one that did, that was in the image of Adam, was the one that was singled out. Thus, we have a theme of those who continued lighting the way of the belief and going in the righteous ways of God. And then it goes all the way down from Adam. There's 10 generations till we reach Noah, and then another 10 generations through these people that are singled out till we get to Avraham Avinu, Avraham, our forefathers. The second thing that it answers is that there's a curious paragraph that closes this parasha, Parashat Bereshit, that says as people multiplied and there were many and they basically chose evil to good and God was actually upset. And it also says that there were different kinds of people. There were those that were godly and those that were Nephilim, which is usually translated as giants. And they kind of all mixed together. And what does that mean? But the one way of seeing it, which I personally touches me, is that that people were, since this is the beginning of humankind, so some of the children that were born were more in the lines of the godliness of the first man / women, and some weren't along those lines. If man was, again, when I say man, I mean man / women. When man was created, it was created from, it says in the text before, in the beginning, it was created from earth and from a soul, from earth from below and soul from above. That's why he's even called in Hebrew Adam, from the word Adama. Adama means earth. Therefore God called him Adam because he's made from Adama. But he also has a spark, a soul, a spark of godliness. And so Idmeh, which sounds a little bit like Adama and Adam, means in the image, like something that looks like. But since it's only would be like, that means that's the only thing you can describe. In other words, this word Adam combines in the word itself the word Adama, earth, and Idmeh, which means likelihood of something beyond. So some of the children that were born were behaved, and perhaps also their physical appearance was more from that direction of being more spiritual, and some were from the more Adama, from the more the groundly, the earth. And since it's the beginning of everything, these things also mix. Some of the more godly people mixed with those who weren't. Doesn't matter. This is how humanity evolved. And so perhaps there are also creatures like giants and stuff like that, not because they were demigods, but because of those two seemingly contradicting oppositions of godlyhood and earthliness. But that's what makes people special, that you have those two opposites. And the balance between the two is what makes every person whoever he is.